Okay, so I'd like to talk about a movie called Love Exposure, directed by Sion Sono. Um, in case you're not aware of it, it's this 4 hour long epic. I'd call it an epic uh, that kind of touches on the sexual politics of Japan in a globalized market and the way that that interacts with religion, especially in Japan, where religion has sort of a different place where most people are essentially atheist, and so but where most people do practice religious rites occasionally, and will because okay, this is a little bit of a tangent, but like Shinto is much more diffuse than most of the religions that Westerners are like familiar with, and so you get most people who okay, so most people in Japan are essentially their religious practice, quote unquote, is some kind of blend of Shintoist and Buddhist practices. Okay. Um, but that basically means that a lot of people don't sort of have defenses against cults in quite the same way that Americans do, and so like there's a big cult problem, and so the movie is sort of about these damaged people within a really dysfunctional society, essentially, right? It's about it's about sort of people who have uh, dysfunctional families that leave them kind of in a emotionally stunted or dysfunctional place, and then they sort of find each other and they're trying to connect, but they don't have the context to connect in like a healthy way, and then they're also sort of learning to forgive each other for like expressing their desire for connection in ways that are not healthy, right? And a very heartfelt film. I thought very empathetic. I got a lot out of it just from the perspective of, oh God, like, you know, I know people like this, and I'm now realizing things about their situation, right? That I didn't know before because I'm watching parts of it sort of play out in this abstracted way. And I should say it's that summary makes it seem like a very grim movie, and it's not. No, it's like it's jam packed with humor. There are huge comedy sequences, and it's very over the top in its symbology in the way that like a Ken Russell movie is. Um, I love that movie, and I think it is. I would consider it like a feminist movie. Okay, but it turns out that Shion Sono, the director, and also other people on the writing staff and on the production. Sorry, I shouldn't say writing staff. I can't actually remember who. There's another guy who's also accused, and I can't actually. He was associated with the movie. I can't remember exactly what his role was, but like several people involved in the movie at high levels were like literally using their economic power and their um, power as employers to like get sexual favors from like quid pro quo from like the actresses on the movie, just so fucked up. But it's like it surprised me a lot, specifically on this movie, because this is like now Shion Sono apparently it hadn't been reported until recently And that makes sense because, sexual politics are not very advanced, especially in Japan. You get a lot of there are a lot of sort of problems. I shouldn't exactly say, especially in Japan. Sexual politics in Japan are a little bit different from here, and I'm not really qualified to say which is better, right? But certainly, like this was a thing that Sono has been doing since he got his start. It seems like, and it didn't get press because like when he was starting in the 60s, not just normal, but like kind of people in power thought it was sort of acceptable, and which is obviously very fucked up, right? Um, but then, like, he's continuing doing it, right? And he's doing it on this film that is about, from my perspective, exactly why you shouldn't be doing that shit, right? Um, I'm swearing so much, TikTok's gonna uh, nerf my reach, but who cares? Um, so where was I going with this? I'm sorry. Uh, yeah, so it's like it's one of these movies, along with I would say Vertigo and Repulsion, uh, that kind of proves that predatory empathy in practice can look a lot like regular empathy. Like like if you didn't know that Roman Polanski uh, was like fleeing the United States and living in exile in order to avoid being prosecuted for like raping a little girl, you would think that Repulsion was a feminist movie because it is about this woman having um, struggles coming in from multiple directions where she's struggling with her mental health, but she's struggling with the stigma of her mental health, and she's struggling with a social structure that tries to put her in boxes, and then she's struggling with being annoyed by like uh, men who don't respect her boundaries. And then she does the natural, completely justified thing of killing all of them, which we all kind of feel like we wish we could do sometimes. Not that I'm condoning that. And likewise, like Vertigo is about Jimmy Stewart being a stalker and stalking some woman, and it just so happens that there was more going on, but Jimmy Stewart's character does not know that, and so it is a movie about Jimmy Stewart getting a crush and then just fucking stalking this woman, pressuring her into changing the way she dresses. It's so fucked up. And so you're watching and you're thinking, "Oh god, this Jimmy Stewart is playing this character who is so fucked up." And it is so weird to watch this, we think of him as very wholesome, this wholesome actor play this so fucked up character. And then we find out, oh, like Alfred Hitchcock was literally doing the shit that Jimmy Stewart is doing in this movie in real life to the actresses working under him. Uh yeah, so like keep that in mind. I don't think that this means you shouldn't watch those movies. I think that what it means is that these movies are not speculations into the mind uh, of an asshole. These are direct depictions of the mind of powerful shitheads, and they should be studied. Okay, that's